Neil Lennon fired some criticism at Rangers and Phillipe Clement, but Phil has fired back with a blast of his own. Apparently, it's been labelled as a snap. Snap, crackle, and pop. Is it like a bowl of Rice Krispies? Let's find out. Let's dive into it. Let's put the milk into it, shall we? Some semi skimmed in there. But of course, Neil Lennon was caught questioning the mentality of the Rangers side with the title pressure ramping up. And you know what? To be fair, does Lennon have a point? You look at the amount of trophies won in the last, God knows, a lot of years. Rangers are lacking a bit, and there's always been a gimmick, even under Gerrard, part 55, the winter breaks, and Rangers seem to bottle it after Christmas. And here, I'm man enough to admit that. I'm not going to pretend it's all been sunshine and roses this side, but yeah, Phillipe Clement though has come out and said he's insisting he's glad that Neil Lennon took a pop at his players, as the former Celtic boss has saved him a little title team talk. I mean, honestly, does that mean that Clement is simply going to say, remember what Neil Lennon said? You need to prove him wrong. I think the days, though, of the old firms being decided like that and titles and those comments, I'm not saying they don't have weight anymore, because of course they do. It's like Derek Adams saying what he did, but you look at, I think just back in the day, you had much more, like homegrown players playing for the old firm. And I think like the more players that come from abroad, I'm not saying they don't get the rivalry, but they just won't get it as much. And that's my personal opinion. I think that's another reason why the old firm has died down a bit. And that's not saying that there's players in the past for different nations that didn't grasp it. Of course they did. But that's just my personal opinion. But the Belgian insists that Gers are still in solid shape as he snapped back at Lenny and he said, I am happy people outside of the club helped to motivate my players. I now need to put less time into that myself. The players have showed a lot of mentality in the last couple of months, even at Celtic Park with 10 players. They did that, so we cannot speak about mentality in that way until now. We just need to confirm that in the next 6 months. And he went on to say that he knows the heat will only get turned up. And he said, I want my players who are motivated by themselves, players with internal motivation. I want to see winners. And winners don't care about what people are saying. True, they don't care about what people are saying because they're winning. They're winning too much to even remotely care about it. And here, I think Rangers did show a decent level of mentality, going 2-0 down to 10 men and actually taking the fight to Celtic. But what about the mentality though when it was 11v11? What about the mentality when we turned up at Ibrox in our own backyard and absolutely bottled it? I'm not going to pretend because we clawed it back to 2-1 and had them on the ropes for like the last 8 minutes that's a win for us. Now here, was it surprising? Yeah, I honestly thought we were going to get beat like 6-0 when we were doing the 10 men. But at the end of the day, we didn't do anything with it. We didn't get any points. We didn't stop them winning. We didn't win it ourselves. So I'm not going to pretend that that's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I remember a few years ago at Ibrox, Celtic going down to 10 men and then they ended up winning. Now, albeit, yeah, that Celtic team then was better than us and it's not quite the gap what it is now. But, if Rangers came back in that game for 2-0 down with 10 men and drew or got a win, I'd half accept that. And I'm not completely burying the team, but I think there's a lot being made out of that. I think it's more to do with maybe Celtic are shite. If that's actually if that's Ange's Celtic or, the Brendan team from a few years ago, they'd put us to the sword because we were fucking mince. Make no mistake about it. But who's in the right, guys? Neil Lennon or Big Phil?